When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs. And I think I might have mentioned on my last podcast, I don't know if I did, that I was getting ready to go on a vacation. And since, you will be receiving this maybe even several, weeks later after we've actually recorded it, my husband and I just got back from Alaska. We were gone for a week on a cruise. It was absolutely phenomenal. And I just love Mother Earth and all the healing properties and everything it brings. And I'm just so thankful to live in this beautiful world, to be able to partake in some of the events that we did and explore nature. And I just really wanted to share that with all of you today because, many of us live in this hustle and bustle of this crazy, got to get things done. And we're busy. And we don't take the time to step back to really enjoy the fruits of our labors, to enjoy the nature of beauty. And today we're going to talk about enjoying when you say the word yes. What does that look like for you in your business and in your life when you say yes, and all of the compounding events that happen past that? And my guest, Deb Drummond, is here with me today, and we're going to be sharing a lot about what have happened in our lives since we've said yes. And I just shared what happened in my life when I said yes to an opportunity to go on an Alaskan cruise, and what it did for my body and what it did for my soul, and the amazing people that I met now that I'm connected with on social media and will forever be connected with. But before that, I'd like to thank our sponsor of today's show, Peaceful Living. Why do we allow stress to compound in our lives? What? This is our sponsor for today. How awesome is that? It affects our sleep and our daily rituals. The truth is we all live with stress, but imagine what it would be like to not suffer from stress. Are you ready to feel better, sleep better, and change your overall relationship with tension? Peaceful Living can help you bring more peaceful moments into your day. Peaceful Living offers simple tools, live stream and on-demand classes, and a customized self-care success plan. Imagine if you had simple ways to slow down and restore your energy without taking big chunks of time away from your schedule, like I did, and going to Alaska. With Peaceful Living, you can do this every single day for even 5 minutes. They know what's possible, and they're there to help. And the founder, Roberta Hughes, will be your guide each step of the way. So be sure to visit Peaceful Living at peacefulliving.com to begin your journey with a free membership. And if you use the code LEAP, then you will receive your first month for free. So why wouldn't we want to do that, right? So thank you so much, Roberta and Peaceful Living, for being our sponsor of today's show. So let's get to our guest. Deb Drummond is a celebrated entrepreneur. She was born and resides in Vancouver, Canada. She is internationally recognized for her pioneering work with women in business in the past 30 years. With her passion for entrepreneurship and her love for health and wellness, she's personally created 7 companies. She's the founder of DebDrummond.com, recognized as an international speaker, #1 best-selling author, host of a successful podcast and media company, as well as an award-winning independent founding brand partner of Neora, International, hitting #1 in acquisition for 5 years running in 10 countries. Wow, Deb, that's so impressive. Her reputation as an incredible personal business trainer is impeccable. Whether it's in her mastermind groups or private sessions, she makes it her mission to walk to the path of the next level with her clients. Deb, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. You know what? Alaska is on my list. And of course, it's very close to us, right? I mean, it's
very close
to Canada. And everyone I know that has gone to Alaska, it has been that nature. It's like that piece, like when I go see the Cliffs of Moher in Ireland or something, it is breathtaking. I know pictures don't do it justice, but everyone that comes back feels cleaned and cleared and ready and grateful. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I think it's important that we recognize that we do need to take that time, especially as entrepreneurs, as we read about you saying yes to these opportunities. My husband and I could have saved the money and said, nah, we'll do it another year. But we make it a point every year to take time away because every year we buy another business or start something new. And so it doesn't ever decrease. It just increases. So you need that time away. And you've recently been saying yes to some things in your life as well that has changed the direction for you, for your family, for a very fun experiences that Chloe and Ocean, your two children, of things that are happening in their lives. So why don't you talk about the power of yes in your life, Deb?
Thank you so much, Colleen. I have this saying and I've said it forever, and I don't know where I learned it originally from. I think I originally saw it in a feminist magazine when I was in my 20s. And so there you go. And it was a Scottish Himalayan proverb that is very lengthy, but I'll just give you the heart of it. So the heart of it says, when you say yes, all unforeseen and unforetold circumstances come into play. And you get this, there's many times that you're sitting with someone, whether it's your client or yourself, and you have these opportunities. And like you said, the more you kind of build your repertoire and you stay in this game a little while, you have many opportunities that come by you. And a lot of times before there's like, Simon would say that there's like early adapters that they get a gut feeling and they just jump in and they're the yes people, and then they find out how to do it afterwards. I think that comes with a leap of faith, and I think that comes with a leap of experience, because I'm sure yourself and myself included, and many people listening, it's like we know when we've said yes, things that have happened have been unforetold. You couldn't see those things, but there's something about saying the power of yes that something comes alongside of you and helps get you through the what ifs, right? I think the yes counters the what ifs. And the interesting thing is those things do not show themselves until you're on the other side, right? You don't see, you don't see those polar pieces of ice in the water till you say yes and get on the friggin' boat. I mean, whether it's something like a holiday or even those big stuff, like there's been some big stuff, I've got this really big project going on and couldn't have seen everything that laid out. And honestly, this is one of those, how do you do an elephant? You do it one bite at a time kind of projects, right? And so there's that big stuff, but there's been things like, I remember once I started my first company it was called Deborah's Holistic Bodywork, which turned into Metropolitan Relaxation Studio. But, it was just very new in my business, and I was 26. And so I remember myself and my daughter's father, and, there wasn't women in business and networking groups and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, so I just started this massage practice, and it didn't help that he didn't like massage. I mean, I think he's the only person I've still met that didn't like massage. But the visa bill came, and remember the visa bill used to come in the mail and you used to have to write a check. And so the visa bill came, and I'm starting this new business, and we didn't have enough money to cover the visa bill. And so I wrote the check and I signed it and I put it, and I was sealing it and putting a stamp on the envelope. You guys, yeah, that archaic. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm paying the visa bill. And he's like, we can't pay the visa bill, right? Because you're starting this new business. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, we're going to pay the visa bill. And he's like, do not put that check in the mail. And I'm like, oh no, we're going to go take this check and we're going to go put it in the mail. And I put it in the mail without the money, and never did my visa bill not get paid. Like somehow he was losing his mind. And I got to say, there was a little bit of hesitancy, but I was like, no, I'm going to just do this, and I'm going to do this. So anyways, that was kind of a small version of saying yes and taking that leap, and what the clients would come, the business would come. And now I'm obviously in a very big project where I said yes to. Yeah.
Let's talk about this big project, because I know I'm part of this big project with you. many, many, many women that I know are part of this big project with you. So it's affected their lives as much, as it affected mine, and the ripple effect. That's what we were talking about, the compounding effect of this. So let's talk about the 262 project, and let's talk about the summit, and let's talk about how, because I remember it started a couple of years ago, probably when I heard about it, but you had started it, earlier than that. And it really didn't start as this big of a project to begin with when you and I chatted about it.
No, ma'am, it did not. So, so this project, the idea of doing a book, hit me when I was 31. Really, conceptually, I was working out of a Women's Day book. It went out of print. And so just let you know, there was no Google. There wasn't even Starbucks or cell phones. Yeah. So there was no Google. So it went out of print and I went out of print. And I said, I'm going to do a book like this. And it was this gorgeous book of black and white photography. And it was a day planner. And so sure enough, my world does what my world does. And 3 years ago, I did release a day planner, but it was all about entrepreneurs and reverse engineering. And it had nothing to do with these beautiful black and white pictures and all about women. And then it was in the middle of when we were having that kind of worldly health crisis. And I was walking across the bridge, and halfway across the bridge, I heard the words, "It's time," screamed so loud in my ear, I actually literally jumped. And not too short time after that, I called my publicist, and we had just finished doing a book of 22 women and 5 couples in a specific business sector. It was the direct sales industry. And it had great success, and we were super happy, and yay, it was a glory, glory time. And I called her and I said, it's the time. It's time to do the women's book. And she's like, okay, great. How many women? And look, we just did a book of 22. So I wasn't thinking anything, beyond maybe 52. And I said, I'll pray and meditate tonight and I'll let you know tomorrow. And so I prayed, and the next day I got 262, and I'm like, that fish is going back in the pond. I don't think so. And then the next day it was 263. I'm like, wrong direction, dude. We gotta, get clear on this. And I got really serious at the end of it. I'm like, okay, tell me how many women need to be in this book. And the next day, as I text my girlfriend, how are you? 262 came across the screen. And so it went to a book of 262 women. And that's how the project started. And then so that started. And you were actually one of my first calls. I'm like, Colleen, you got to get in here with me. All right. When you need to jump in with your people, you're like, okay, you gotta match the level of crazy. And you're like, okay, you'll get this, okay, who's not going to go, what? Who's going to go?
Matching the level of crazy is important when you say yes. Yeah,
you got to have your crazy people. And so the book started, and it started to get really incredible. And then it started to grow, and it was fantastic. And we were on target to launch at Christmas. And then I was sitting on my couch working about 9 o'clock at night, and I was doing my thing, and Netflix sent this picture because it was in the background, and they sent this movie. If you've watched movies like this, you should watch this one too. And it said, the movie was called Seeing All Red. And I'm like, I don't know. I literally in my head said, that's got Steinem all over it. I'm not in the mood. Now I'm talking about Gloria Steinem. I've followed her forever. She's wonderful. She sends a quote for our planner every year. She's a rock star. But I just wasn't in the mood to watch anything political. And I put my head down, and I heard, we've sent it 3 times, watch the damn movie. So I watched the damn movie, and it was the life story of Gloria Allred. And I was just blown away. Transparency, I did not know her story. And I texted my publicist and I said, we're not launching at Christmas. We're launching International Women's Day. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. And I canceled my whole afternoon the next day, watched the movie in silence. And at the end of the movie, I was like, game friggin' on, sister. And then I just started downloading, and I started writing. And the message I got was that you need to create something that reminds women to be proud of International Women's Day the way a mom does Mother's Day. And so out came 22 summits on paper. And so now we have a 22 summit project with a book of 262 women that started in March 2023 that ends in May 2024. We just added and made an announcement yesterday, or this morning, actually the video got shot, about putting in speaker highlights, because we only have 10 spots of speaking left, and so there'll be 450 women in this project on the back end. And it's televised now, which I couldn't have seen in the future. And we had 23 million impressions in media in the last 90 days. Didn't see that when I said yes. Didn't see, just didn't see all the people coming together. I'm going to stop talking and pass it back over to you. But that was all from, I heard a message, and honestly, Colleen, my next book is going to be hashtag God pick on somebody else. That's the official title. You heard it here first, folks. Hashtag God pick on somebody else.
He's not picking on you. he's leading you because you listen. And I think that's so important for us to remember that if we're not listening, we're not going to be led. That's part of saying yes. That's part of designing your life the way you want that to be designed. To say yes allows you opportunities to leap. And what hell? Okay, so so these 262 women, which I'm part of this group, changed their lives. Some of them speakers for the first time on stages that you've provided virtually for them to be able to be interviewed or speak. They've been able to promote it to the people that they know that are in their circle. They've been able to meet new people, get new clients, whatever it might look like for them. What other effects have happened? You said social media impressions. What are some of the other pieces that have started aligning for you through all this?
Yeah. So, I mean, that yes over here, and that's what we've been talking about, the power of yes, not being able to foresee it. So, first of all, the absorbency that my world is, like, I get to get up every day and pretty well talk to women that are in movement and in gumption. And yes, it's really cool. Over here, there's women that I'm supporting through, yes, you can be on the stage and we're going to make sure that you are stage ready. And then you've got mavens and crones, kind of like us. I've got people that are like, for example, Kimberly Butler, celebrity photographer, to, Barbara Walters for 8 years, shot the last 5 presidents, Taylor Swift and the whole bit. This very profound celebrity photographer coming in, and people that are speaking that are just, we just announced yesterday that we have the Janis Joplin of Canada, the first woman of rock and roll in Canada, is going to be speaking in November and in the book. And so you have this the theme is really stand up, speak up, and show up. If someone's willing to do that, then the rest unfolds. But some of the unfoldings for me is obviously my day has really changed. I've gotten to really see from the insider view the movement that women are making. Like, I made an announcement on one of the books that we announced 3 years ago about by 2030, women will be taking over the economic the resources, and what women are spending and what we are creating will tip the scale over by 2030. And I'm seeing it live in the undercurrent, but really incredible things like, yes, media impressions, and everyone's business is rocking. And Nancy was on the August summit, and we end up at 7:00 at night, and by 9:00 in the morning, she sends me this text of being picked up by a piece of media and 2 clients and all that great stuff for women that they are wanting. But example, I was just talking about Kimberly Butler. So here's me. My son is launching his company. He's 19 and he's in fashion and he's in art. And so Kimberly Butler, because she's in this project and she has love with Ireland, and you know Kim, right? And so she has this love of project with Ireland, and we're talking about her coming on this music thing I'm doing in Ireland. And she catches the wind of Ocean's artwork, and she's like, oh my God, like, this clothing is incredible. And I'm like, well, thank you. She's like, no. Like, incredible. Like, get him down to New York and I will shoot all his stuff for free and take him all around New York. She announced it on his launch. And we will go take pictures of people wearing his clothes, and they'll get them signed press releases, and we're going to rock this kid. Wow, and she's like, wow. Now that came from, right? That just unfolded. I mean, this was just an offer. I'm like, we connected on the Irish part, right? I'm like, okay, we're both Irish, and let's talk about this. And then we talked about that. And I'm like, you should be part of the 262. And she's like, okay, groovy. And then along, my son just had me part of the conversation. So those kind of things, right? Or, gosh, there's been so many.
There's so much we don't even see too, Deb, that happens, right? Those are just what you know about. Right. But then there's the ancillary ripples that happen beyond what we see or know or hear about, that we don't even realize that you've affected someone's life, that maybe that day, because of that speaker that they heard, their life was changed and they made a change in their career or their path or their family or who they are. And then before you know it, that changes another million people's lives. So I think it's so important to remember that if you're going to say no and you're just going to make the decision that you're scared or you're not ready, then you kind of stay in this position of fear, kind of that false evidence appearing real, because you've allowed that to encase you into, I have no idea how I could do a book with 262 women. Because you don't need to know the how right now. You just have to have the hell yeah and go after it. And then those hows start appearing. I have events coming up in November for retreats and Women's Day events and in March. And it's like, I don't have the hows to everything I'm doing. Some of them I've done in the past, some of them I haven't. When I was birthed out of corporate America, I did not know how I was going to build my business. I did not know how everyone was going to align, that I was going to meet the people I've met that have been aligned in my life. You just have to have faith and trust and know to believe in yourself, and then the right people will come along, but you have to be open to it. Like I said, God's not picking on you. He's leading you because you listen. And if we want to be led, we need to listen.
Oh yeah, that's true. No, and you're right. You can't let the not knowing, because here's the really interesting thing. When you talk about, and it sounds so Hallmark. It sounds so Hallmark. You're like, oh, I'm on the Hallmark channel. We're going to see this guy from town that met her from school. It sounds so Hallmark to say that one person, but it's not one person's life. Think about it. If you're changing my life, you're not changing. If I can just change one person, you don't change one person's life when you hear one person speak. I don't know how this woman, Andrea Johnson, heard about our summits. I don't know how, but she called me and she's like, hi, I'm in a town in the Bahamas and there's 300 people in our town. I'd like to put us on your map. I'm the first woman that's ever graduated from university. I'm the first one. I'm like, what do you do? And she listed off these accolades. I was like, where are you? And she goes, can I put my town on the map? I'm like, you can put your town on the map. So she agrees to be a speaker. She spoke, just rocked the world. And then she said, I'm going to do a book for women in Bahamas like you're doing. I'm like, okay, how can I help you? It is really, truly a collaborative. And now she's off doing her first project. And we know it's all that. And she's like, will you do a chapter? I'm like, okay, sure. Now look I'm busy, right? A little busy. She's like, I'm like, how many words? She's like 1,000. I'm like, by when? She's like, September 26th. I'm like, sure, because inevitably, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to say yes, and someone's going to have to change a meeting with me between some net time between now and September 26th. And you know what I'm going to fill in? I'm going to grab my phone and I'm going to utter out 1,000 words. But yeah, that's kind of how it works. And you are absolutely correct. But it is not just one person. One person heard you, and then that ripple effect. I can't even imagine. The closing ceremony is May 11th, the day before Mother's Day. That'll be the 22nd summit, right? I can't even imagine us, first of all, getting through the days without washing off our face 1,000 times. But I can't even imagine with that ending, what we're starting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's definitely a tsunami occurring right now through all of this. And if you hadn't said yes for the very first time walking across that bridge to listen, to be led, you wouldn't be here today. And maybe you and I, wouldn't be speaking. There would be some other individuals that maybe you would never have met along. Well, I know for sure you wouldn't have met along the way. And I think that that's incredible. I think it's incredible that you listened, that you said yes. And when we say yes, amazing things happen for us and the people around us in our lives. So there's a huge power behind that. And it deserves to have a title. It deserves to be talked about on, radio, like we're doing today. And it deserves to have weight to it, because I think just equally on the opposite end of that is the power of no, where you can overwhelm yourself too much. And there are times when you need to say no, and the power of that can be equally as great. But for what we're talking about today, just the chances and the changes and the power behind those three little words is incredible. And thank you for sharing those stories with us, Deb. I know that many people listening today are like, hey, how do I get involved in the 262 Project? How do I find out about the book? Where would you like them to reach out to you? And we'll have a list of what those items are, but where would you like them to reach out to you? How would you like them to connect with you?
It's super easy. I mean, they can go to debdrummond.com and there's a contact page. You can go to deb@debdrummond.com. Either one of those are going to go directly to me. So there's even a blurb on the book. If you go into the website, you'll see really the mission. The mission behind this whole project is to bring women back together in a feeling of solidarity. Like, I'm going to be moving on from, I think my whole thing is helping to heal the sister wound, I call it, right? And I think that by us coming together with the vehicle and platform of creating solidarity, a lot of healing is happening for people, even on that subtle level. So yeah, deb@debdrummond.com or debdrummond.com, you can reach out and and you know what I like also about this whole project is there's a whole bunch of women behind the scenes, right? So if someone's not said yes to something of this scale before, just remember, you don't have to do the scale, right? It's no different than saying yes to go speak in front of 12 people. First of all, it's online, right? So someone said to me, oh my gosh, I'm just starting my business. I don't know if I'm big enough. And I said, what I would have given in my first month of business to be on something like this instead of having to do the dog paddling. You know what I mean?
Upstream.
Yeah.
Imagine
that, you know what I mean?
Did you just ask me to get on your raft and go downstream with you? Yes, I will. Yeah, I agree with you. That's awesome. So debdrummond.com, we'll have everything at your fingertips. You guys can reach out to her. Every single one of you can. Deb, thank you so much for saying yes. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for bringing all of us together to create this huge movement, this 262, for bringing 262 women together just as speakers. That's not, and in the book that's the numbers beyond that. When we're talking about the number of women that are involved behind the scenes, that will be involved, that will be affected by this book, and that will meet each other because of you saying yes. So again, God's leading you because you're listening. So please keep listening so he can keep leading you. And you can keep changing the world just like you're doing, right?
Well, I'll take that. Amen.
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 All right, everyone. Well, thank you for being with us today. And I just want to remind you all, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that will ever be. Now is the time, if you've been thinking like, I need to say yes to this. This is my time. I need to say yes. Whatever that thing is that in your gut, you need to say yes to, do it. Deb and I are here to tell you, take that leap. You can do it. Do it. We promise that the support will show up. It has for us and everything we've always done in our lives, and it will for you too. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.